this is where a lot of us need to tell our children, especially those in secondary school, to be careful of the kind of friends they make, to be careful of the kind of influence they have around them, because this boy's life would not be the way it is now, and this man will most likely still be alive if not for the bad friends that he was keeping. This school teacher was brutally murdered by a former student of the school who had recently just graduated but came back to show that he was now a big boy. This horrible incident happened on Wednesday, the 8th of November 2023, at a government day school in Taraba State, where, according to the story, the teacher, who goes by the name of Basi Saduna, was going about his duties in the school. In the morning, you see, that Wednesday was supposed to be an inspection day of some sort, and the students were being split into groups. And this was happening by the gate of the school. Mr. Basi was assigned a group of students, a section of them, to supervise and help the inspectors do their job faster. And while the students and the teachers were preparing for the inspection, the former student, who goes by the name of Awalu Abdul Rashid, showed up with his friends, about 2 or 3 other of his friends. And as they got into the school compound, they met the inspection going on. And that was how this group of ex-students, the big boys, just walked through the line and was heading for the main school. Now, the thing is, Abdul Rashid was actually coming to have one of his documents signed. His father had earlier called a school teacher or some school official to help sign his Air Force document. I guess he's going into the Air Force, so they needed some kind of testimonial signature for him, and that was what Abdul Rashid was coming to do. And if only he had focused on that goal, his life right now wouldn't be in shambles. So after they got into the school, they saw the lines and saw the students organizing themselves, they saw the teachers going about their duties, and that's how this boy and his friends just walked freely through the lines, pretty much disorganizing everything. Sadly enough, it was the group that Mr. Basi was assigned to that was disrupted by Abdul Rashid and his gang. And that was when Mr. Basi told him to go back, he and his group. He told them to go back to the gate and walk past behind the line instead of just coming in, disorganizing the whole place like that. So after he instructed him and his friends to go back and walk through the back of the line to wherever they were going to inside the school compound, that was when things took a turn. In fact, not quite, because after he ordered them, this boy, Rashid, actually turned around, actually obeyed and was getting ready to do as he said, because he could see that they were disrupting what was going on at the gate. And so he turned around with his friends, and they were already making their way to the back of the line so that they could not disturb what was happening. But then one of his gang members put a battery pack in his back and set him for doom. Because to be honest with you, this is where a lot of us need to tell our children, especially those in secondary school, to be careful of the kind of friends they make, to be careful of the kind of influence they have around them, because this boy's life would not be the way it is now, and this man will most likely still be alive if not for the bad friends that he was keeping. According to sources, he was already turning around. He was already going back to the line to do as this man said, when one of his friends told him, "See, we are already graduated. We are no longer students of this school. We don't need to listen to him. We don't need to obey him." And that was when he turned around and said, you know what, he's not going to obey him, and that he's going to walk through the line the way he wanted and the way he intended, or the way he was already doing. And that was when the altercation started. That was when Mr. Basi also needed to not be disrespected, because at this point this was some sort of disrespect, and not only was it accidental, the disrespect was deliberate and on purpose. And so Mr. Basi fought back, literally stood his ground and told them to go back. And that was when he picked up a cane and flogged him and his friends, literally embarrassing them in front of these students that they have all graduated past this. I'm sure the students, they were all their juniors, so it could have been embarrassing for them, and I could relate to the way the situation must have escalated, given that this was happening in front of other students who were all witnessing this chaos. And you know how rebellious secondary school students can be, because when this happened, when he was flogged by the Mr. Basi, he started causing trouble. He and his friends started making a big deal. They started fighting. I'm not even sure he continued with what he was supposed to do that day. The document that his father gave him to go and sign, I don't think he went on to sign it, because he and his friends started causing trouble, up to the point that the school had to hire vigilantes to come and make peace. And the neighborhood vigilantes, the community vigilantes, came to the school to make the peace and asked the boy and his friends to leave the school. And the vigilantes were in the school compound for almost the entire day, because they knew that if they left, these boys may come back and start trouble all over again. Remember, that was just at the beginning of the school day. That was the early morning. So the entire school hours continued till it was the end of school hour, till it was school over, somewhere around 1:30 to 2 o'clock. And the teachers were getting ready to go. That was when information came back to the school that Abdul Rashid and his friends were outside of school waiting for Mr. Basi to come outside. By this time, the vigilantes had left. It was school over, so the vigilantes had gone their way. In fact, when the information came to the school that this boy and his friends were waiting outside for this man, the school principal tried to call the vigilantes to come back and, probably escort this man to his house. But that didn't happen. The vigilantes did not come back. And so a group of teachers in the school decided to escort Mr. Basi outside. But Mr. Basi was not worried. It was said that he wasn't afraid. He just thought it was ridiculous that all of this were happening. But you can't trust these teenagers these days. This is something we've seen. This is something we know. In the past few weeks, we've been dealing with stories where teenagers and young people are the ones doing the killings now. Successfully so, Mr. Basi was escorted to a tricycle, to a keke, where he was going to board to his house. And the teachers who escorted him were, they thought at this point they've done what they needed to do. They've accompanied him to the transport place where he would take to his house, and it wasn't a problem. Like, they assumed that was the end. That wasn't the case, because Abdul Rashid and his friends were waiting somewhere, almost as if they knew what was going to happen, and they've trailed him entering into his tricycle. Eventually, out of nowhere, when he got into his tricycle, maybe in the process of moving, I'm not sure, or maybe somewhere the tricycle stopped, or who knows if the tricycle was even in on it, this boy and his friends attacked the tricycle, attacked the keke that Mr. Basi was in, fighting him and even stabbing him in his leg. And that was when Mr. Basi was said to have sustained a very serious injury that caused him to bleed. And words quickly went back to the school that Mr. Basi had actually been attacked, and all the teachers ran to where he was. They rushed him to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Mr. Basi's death came as a shock to a lot of people. In fact, right now, a lot of teachers, the union, the teacher union, they've all taken a break or a strike due to what had happened to this man. Many people are calling for the government of Taraba State to do something, or teachers won't go back to school to teach because of this nonsense. 18-year-old Abdul Rashid is officially a wanted person as at the time of making this video. He's being looked for, and if found, he will be charged with murder and most likely tried as an adult because he is 18 years old.
Things dey happen o, just imagine 18 years old boy, he and e gang come fit kpai dis man like dat, just like dat, because of say you dey follow bad friends. My people, make parents try make dem dey caution their children, make dem know the friends wey dem dey carry o. Credit to you guy,